Love kills kingdoms. Back in Grimm's castle on Nightshade, Isla is reeling in the wake of a brutal battle and the devastating truths it exposed.
Pause this video right now. Go and read Skyshade by...
Alex Aster. And when you've read it, you can join us for the discussion.
Or you can join us anyway, because we're going to tell you all about it. My name's Elijah.
And I'm Joseph, and welcome to the Isla Library.
So, no spoilers. What do you think of the book? And did you listen to it?
Yes, I listened to it.
Okay. It's brand new. The book's brand new. So you wouldn't have been able to find a... You wouldn't have been able to get a pirate.
My level of thievery is high.
What do you think of the book? For what it is.
Oh, okay, for what it is. It's actually quite important you added that.
Yeah.
Even for what it is, I'm going to be real. Even for what
So
it
if you was... So this versus the Iron Flame series.
Oh, Iron Flame every single time.
Okay.
Every single day of the week.
Because the title of this video is this Skyshade versus Iron Flame.
Oh, is that what it's going to be?
Well, I think so. I don't know yet. But,
well, yeah.
So turn it off. You've got your answer.
Yeah.
There were certain things I liked. I liked the character. Isla. Yeah, Isla. I think it's Isla. I think I liked her more than Violet. She's morally grey. Violet's a goody, perfect, and do everything and whatnot.
Yeah.
But obviously we've jumped in at book 3, so I don't really know what's going on. But a good book should still be readable for somebody who jumps straight into the 3rd installment. I'm not saying they should go back to the beginning to fill me in. Pause. But the book did a good job because I kind of know what's happened in the story so far. But I didn't really like this book.
Yeah, nah.
I thought it was very difficult to get through. I struggled to get through the book. I wanted to stop reading. The second half of the book was much better than the first half.
There were so many chapters where I just tuned out.
The second half of the book started. The first half was just painful. It's painful. But do you have 4?
I've got 4, you've got 5, so if you go first, we'll end on.
So, right off the bat, we jump into a conversation where Isla and Grimm, the male and female main character couple, are having a conversation where she asks him, "You would doom your whole world, killing thousands of people for one girl," the one girl she's referred to as herself. And of course he says in a raspy voice, "No, not for one girl, but I would for my wife." And I thought to myself, as he should, sis, know your worth. He should have no problem burning the world down for you, and if he doesn't, then he ain't the one, sis.
If he wanted to, he would.
But serious question now. How many people, realistically, is acceptable or understandable for you to sacrifice for somebody you love?
That's a big question. But what did we say?
Because it's not 2. Definitely not 1. It's not 1. So how is it 2? Is it 5? Is it 10?
I think. Remember what they said.
The more it is, it gets easier.
Yeah.
Which is weird when you think about.
Perverse. It's very perverse logic, but at the same time, it does make sense. You understand that because at the end of the day, if, you press a button and a ship full of sinks. How easy is that versus you have to shoot somebody yourself? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know if the more it is, it gets easier in this respect, but what is the answer? What is understandable? Because you might hear about a story. Oh man, let's fight people die to save his wife. Let's say this is a news story, and I don't know what the scenario would be. I don't know. Car goes over the bridge or whatever it might be. Man decides saves his wife. I know a lot of people go, "Oh, that's true love" and whatnot. But what number is it where we go, yeah, the guy should have saved the other lot? 10 people, 20 people, 30 people. Man saves wife instead of saving 30 lives.
But I think, like you said, the more it is the more justifiable it gets. Because the reason why I think that is because if it's like 30, 40, 50 people, you're like, bro, I'm not a fireman. Like, it wasn't my job to save these people. It's my job to protect my wife. So if it's like 2 people, which is realistically a person could actually save 2 people, then it's probably harder to justify, even though people would still justify it by saying it's only 2 people. I don't really think there's a situation in which you can say, I should save these strangers instead of my wife. I don't think there's a real situation you could say that. If the world's going to be blown up, yeah. Cool. But other than that, I don't really think there is. Women will love that answer, but that's just not honest truth.
So let's say you was in a room with X amount of people and you're watching to find out your fate. And the person who gets to choose between a room full of you and his girl or whatever. How many people would have to be in your room before you think to yourself, I've got a good chance of survival? So let's say you're in a room and the girl's in the other room and you press a button and the one room gets incinerated. How many people would you have to be in your room before you think to yourself, I've got a good chance here?
Wait, say that again? I don't understand.
Let's say there's 2 rooms.
Yeah.
Both rooms have a one-way glass, like
okay.
police interrogation room. How many people would have to be in your... So the guy in the other side, he gets to pick which room gets incinerated.
Oh, okay.
How many people would have to be in your room for you to think, I've got a good chance here?
More than the 50, I'm feeling like I've got a good chance to pay. I mean,
So if there's more,
maybe
let's
50
say
in
there's
the room.
more than 50, let's say there's 100 in your room, and they say, someone comes in and says, you, Joseph, can go and stand in the other room with the girl if you want, or you can stay in this room with 150 people.
I'll never leave the room. I'll never leave the room. There's no chance I'm leaving the room. There's
Why?
No chance I'm leaving the room just because better the devil you know, the devil you don't. Like, I'm not picking the
What
uncertainty.
if you get a peek at the
Did
guy?
you see Bear Man in there?
No. Let's say you get a peek at the boyfriend, and he looks like, I don't know, Anakin in the third Star Wars. You know, on Mustafar when he looks red like.
Good up with that.
But anyway, let's get back to it.
Did you already went in it? Alright, we go. We've been quite ambitious here in that we've skipped not one but two novels in the Lightlark series, both of which will most likely have had important contextual information, characters, world building, plot, etc. But then again, I like to go in raw. Actually, it's my favourite way. So far, what we know is that this book features a love triangle between characters Isla and her would-be suitors, Grim and Oro. The only complication, our characters live in fear of a prophecy that Isla is destined to kill either Oro or Grim. She should do a plot twist and kill them both.
Double down.
Double damage. That is immediately 5 stars.
But it's nice that we're not calling out this book for what it is. Carbon copy of everything else.
Yeah,
and
of course not.
a powerful woman is bringing two very, very powerful men, even more powerful men, to their knees over her.
Yeah, twice.
Yeah, it's the same old shit as always. But this book was done terribly. But let's get on to question of the day. What is the maximum amount of time you should expect your wife to wait for you while in prison? So what's the maximum sentence you think she's obliged to stay with you?
Forever. You're waiting forever.
Realistically, so you get
Wife?
done, yeah,
Forever.
that's it.
Forever. Till death do us part, love. Forever. If it's girlfriend, then yeah, you can make a case for something else. But you said
All right, let's
death
say
do us part.
girlfriend
If
of
it's girlfriend,
let's say it's girlfriend of 10 years.
girlfriend of 10 years. How long am I in for? Does it just
What's the maximum amount of time
right, yeah.
where you say she not gonna wait for me, or she has to
the sentence I could get where I
yeah
say like
that she has to wait for you.
I don't know, that's a complicated question. I mean, you're probably just gonna say something like a year or two, couple of years.
Any
Probably
more
gonna
than
say
that,
something like any more than that, it's like,
fair game.
Women have a biological clock,
Well, let's say it's not about that. You got the kids already.
Cool. All right. Yeah. It's not only because it's
Yeah, no, I know,
If
but-
it's not a couple of years, then it's not. It's nothing. It's not gonna be 10 years or 15 years,
Yeah,
or 20 years.
yeah. Well, yeah. No,
That
it's not
doesn't
gonna be.
make
Yeah, but you.
So if it's not a couple of years, it's not really gonna be anything. It's even nothing.
Yeah, well, you said,
As
wouldn't
soon
you?
as they roll the gate close.
So what if you? So you say 2 years? Two
I
years
think
for
2
you?
years is decent.
If you've been together, I'd say honestly, if you've been together 10 years, I'd say 5 years. Then.
What, half the time you've been
Not
together?
specifically 5, but when it's 10 years, you've been together 10 years. That's a proper. You know what I mean?
Look,
if
you've invested a decade of your life.
yeah,
into it, I'd
if
say
you've
that's
been together, let's say 3, 4 years, 5 years, then 2 years.
even 3
it's
years,
hard.
2 years is probably too much, to be honest, because that's
2
like
years?
more than half the time you've been.
It depends how if you're doing 2 years, or you're doing half or whatnot. But let's just assume you're in for 2 years. I don't know. I don't know what the answer. But let's say we come to agreement and we say 3 years is a respectable amount of time for her to wait, and any more than that's fair game. What if she says, "I'll stay with you for the 5 years, but I'm getting dick"? What are you saying? Are you saying no? Bye.
Yeah, no, we're not doing
Even though you're inside, and
not
she,
doing that.
yeah, but she could leave now and get dick.
Yeah,
Anyway,
go do that. They did it.
so but if you're still with her, you at least got a phone call.
Huh?
You got someone to talk to. You got a phone call and whatnot.
Oh, I'm still cool now.
Even
Even to be here on visitation, right? No, right?
So then you
we
might
could
as well
be
stay
friends.
together.
We could be friends.
The next man's not
nah.
letting you have friends.
Nuh-uh.
The next man's not letting you have friends. The ex, the kids,
What, he's in
friends.
prison. He's got tattoos. Yeah, sever ties immediately. That's what I would do. But yeah, I think 3 years is a very respectable amount of time because it's like obviously. But this is what I said. If it's wife, it's forever.
I think most
Till
people
you're
would.
dead.
I think most people wouldn't agree with that.
Of course they wouldn't.
But let's just say
most people don't
shoes
take
on the
their
other
vows seriously.
shoes on the other foot now. Wait for who? Wait for who?
Get that conjugal room ready.
What?
ASAP
I'll take the
on
conjugal
decision.
room and McGuire.
After communication research.
One for the road.
It's weird that there is still a love triangle going on by book 3. I've read a lot of fictional romance, and let me tell you, readers know who they're rooting for by the first bloody book. Nobody had to wait 3 books to figure out that they wanted Bella with Jacob or Bella with Edward in Twilight. I'm sure the culty fans of this series will be up in arms to defend this entertaining love triangle, but let's take into account books are like 100,000 words plus these days. Let's say an average of 10 hours of reading. So you're telling me after nearly 30 hours of reading, this woman still doesn't know who she wants out of these 2 dudes? I haven't even read the 2 bloody books that came before it. I'm just thinking, if those books are there, and the triangle was there from book 1, and it's still here in book 3...
Well, I'll touch on that anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll touch on it. I would say it after. The category fantasy is basically the carbon copy of romance category, but fantasy usually has a plot. That's the underlying difference, which I actually realised from reading this book. Some fantasy books are more on the plot side than the romance side, and some fantasy books are more on the romance side than the plot side of the scale. A Court of Thorns and Roses, for example, is more character-driven, so on the romance side, whereas Iron Flame, actually, I'd probably say has a healthy balance, but maybe a touch more plot-driven.
Yeah.
Skyshade has decided to divide the book in two halves for some reason, and then put most of the romance in the beginning, then all of the action in the second part of the book for some reason. And I can't for the life of me understand why they did this. While reading this, I was thinking to myself, so this is the least engaging book that I've ever read. The author isn't even trying to engage us. It's just quest after quest with barely any engaging action. This is literally more boring than the first A Court of Thorns and Roses book, and that's saying loads. Honestly, 10 to 15 chapters in, and I wanted to put the book down. So one thing I did like is her internal dialogue where she was trying to decide if she's a traitor and who she was being a traitor to and whose side she's actually on. It was a tiny bit misogynistic, if you ask me. This all-powerful female killing machine, and at the end of the day, she's all of that power, and she's still incapable of making up her own mind about whether she's a traitor, about who she wants to spend the rest of her life with, and whatnot. So,
bro, she ain't figured out 3 books in. She ain't figured out by the end of this bloody book either. It's ironic that I liken this book to Twilight. I would describe this as Twilight from Wish. The archetype of Isla, I keep saying Iceland, is a bit of a whiny female main character that didn't ask to be loved by 2 guys. Nevertheless, she has clearly led both men on for 3 books so far and shows no intention of bringing a swift and decisive conclusion to these proceedings. The primary market for romance is, of course, women. And even though I'm sure women do like a protracted and drawn-out love triangle that they can get their teeth into, this one is so drawn out and so protracted it feels a bit cash grabby. Apparently, this was supposed to be a trilogy, and it's announced that there will be at least 2 more books. So it seems like Alex Aster has a few bills to pay. This guy said he's going to write a trilogy. By the end, he said, well, actually, what's it? Show goes on.
Keep going, yeah. Rate this character's Riz. Heart Eater. That's his nickname for his girl, for those who don't know. Heart Eater. As far as I'm concerned, you killed me the day you met me. I've never been the same since. Was that cringe? Because I thought it was quite good.
That would work on every woman I've probably met.
I thought it was quite good. I thought I might have to use that myself.
If I heard it, I don't know how I'd feel if I heard it, to be honest, from a girl. Like, you killed me. Did I? But, I think that's the kind of stuff women like to hear.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I definitely did think was cringe was the way how the author thought it was necessary for Grimm to call her Heart Eater all the time. Heart Eater, Heart Eater, Heart Eater. It was just like, bro, like, come on.
They love that kind of shit, though. They love it.
I guess they must do. Bestseller. Bestseller.
That makes me so furious. Elijah, I hate you. I hate you for getting us to read this book. I don't even bloody know what's happening. Isla and Grimm are just going to places that we've never heard of. Once in a while, they'll fight a magical creature, or Isla will guilt-trip Grimm and let her emotions run roughshod over his. Here is an example of dialogue from the book. I fell in love, Grimm. I fell in love with someone else while I was married, and I didn't even realise it. Do you know what it's like to hurt someone without meaning to? Grimm said yes. Isla said, you don't know what love is. Hugely gaslighting statement, in my opinion, especially considering nobody can actually agree on what love is at all. Yeah. Somehow the message of these romance books always seems to be that what women decide love is has so much more significance So how do you
Standard.
get to tell me I don't know what love is? What does that even mean?
I'd say, you don't know what love is. And then she'd say, you don't know
Do you know
what
what I mean? He brought her back to life in the last book, which I found from just things that they said in this book
Yeah.
because I've read it. He brought her back to life, and she looked at him with his eye sockets. This guy that, you know, defied nature for her and said, "You don't know what love is."
I think it's about time.
Oh,
I don't know. These are some chili sweets. I don't know if they're good. I don't know how hot they are. I don't know anything. But I choose violence.
choose destruction and chaos.
So you just half the pack and neck it all. Was that too much?
You're a maniac. Let's have a look at the box. The packaging.
How many should we do?
I think two.
Do you want to go first?
I think two is fair.
Two?
Yeah.
No.
We don't know.
We've at least got to go 4 or 5.
4. Cool. Let's go 4.
Why did you not say 5? I said 4 or 5.
I thought you said 45.
That looks like 5. Don't count it. Wait, no. How much is... So I know how much to do at the same time as you. Is that about the same? I know count is not your strong point.
It's never been the same.
Fool, my lord. Oh, I screwed it up. Free, my lord. I can't
Yeah,
do
no,
it.
legit, you screwed it up.
Twice.
Would have been funny. I think I've got 7.
3,
You got 7
6,
as well.
7.
Oh, was it 6?
Yeah. All right. Let's go.
You don't just do one more than me.
Fire in the hole.
Flex.
No.
Yeah.
Fire in the hole.
Yeah, go. You can taste the chili straight away. You can't feel it, but you can taste the chili.
I still got tissue on case.
Now I have to finish them.
I think it's kicking in.
I'm not feeling it. You feeling it?
Mm-hmm.
I feel something.
It's getting warm in here.
I can feel it. It's not kicking in.
I'm just trying to get rid of them now.
One thing is definitely for certain.
It's warm. It's alright.
It's hot. It's hot. It's nice.
Why would you?
The one thing.
Why would you buy these? Like, no, I'm not blaming you, but I'm just saying, like,
why
would anyone buy these? Like, I know.
Here's one thing that we know for certain. We definitely shouldn't have done one. That would have been a huge waste of time.
Can you imagine?
But the only reason I suggest that because I thought it was going to be a serious thing, innit?
Oh, not like, well, because the sour thing was the.
No, I just thought it was going to be more serious than that.
I don't like spicy food, and that was minor to me. Like, I'm a real.
Yeah. I can feel it. It's a pleasant.
It was warm, yeah, it was a tingle. So you should have half the pack.
I actually should have half back.
Fair enough.
Let's
get
next
back.
time to go extreme. I already did my last one, by the way.
Oh, so I've got 2 more.
How? How do you have 2 more?
I don't know, Joseph. I don't know. There was a scene where Isla and Uro was in the heat cave. According to Uro, the magical cave can heighten emotions. Isla, who's a married woman, started making a move on Uro. They were already naked because of the extreme heat and was giving her consent for Uro to destroy her. Why did he not take the opportunity? But instead he said to her, "You are not yourself. It's the magic controlling your feelings." So what happened next was a sex scene between them, and it turned out to be all a dream.
Oh.
And I hate that type of stuff, but in this scenario, I think it worked quite well because they get to give the people the sex scene that they really wanted to see, but at the same time not soiling the character as a cheater, which I thought was very clever. They didn't want to ruin Isla's character.
I don't look. I think it's clever, but it's like if you're having full-on explicit R-rated sex dreams about somebody, you're already on that slippery slope. Do you know what I mean? It's like
No, but she was in a magical cave that was making her, and it was her ex that she loved as well, and he was naked and da 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 da. You can't help. It's not your fault.
You sound like them.
My God, this book was painful to get through. The second half has definitely saved the book. The first half was shockingly boring. But as I said, the action in the second half redeems it. The way both Isla's boys, Oro and Grimm, put aside their differences to join forces and fight together against a common enemy, the super powerful being that's going to destroy the world as we know it. So nothing original, of course. Yeah. But the way the story unfolded wasn't bad. I like the way it turns out that Isla, after blaming everybody under the sun for her parents' death, turns out that it was actually her that killed her own parents the moment she was born with her extreme unrestricted power. And her mother knew this would happen because her mother had a I can see the future power and knew that their infant baby would still kill them, and they still went through with the pregnancy. And as interesting as the story is, that makes no sense to me. Obviously, we are in no position to comment because you cannot argue with somebody who that can see the future.
Yeah, of course.
But it's like when the Doctor Strange gave Thanos the time stone or whatever, and we were like, no. But, you know, what can you really say?
Yeah.
But the story, the book, you know, I mean, if you're a woman, maybe you like that sort of thing, but it was a drag to get through. We needed a lot more action scenes. We needed a lot stronger, more of a plot or whatnot. And again, it was a weak carbon copy of
stuff that we was just trying to get through. Those are the bits that women were like, they're not getting through those bits.
Yeah, but I like a character development, but we didn't even really get many sex scenes. Like, at least, not that I want them, but you know, normally that's what you get. These lot weren't even doing that. So it was weird. It was a weird little thing.
It was strange.
I think I'm done with fantasy.
Books. This guy sold 3 books of this, you know. He's got 2 more in the pipeline, in the works, ready to come out. So he must know something we don't know.
He definitely does. He definitely does. But yeah, do you have another quote?
Yeah.
Well, I don't.
You don't?
You got a free, was it free run? I don't know what it is.
Quote of the day. If you look at what you have in life, you'll always have more. If you look at what you don't have in life, you'll never have enough.
Well, that's a practical use to that as well, which is what I like. It's like one thing that I've used we learned from. Well, I haven't used it personally, but I've advised people to use it. The Stephen King book, when it said, "Yeah, you like it darker." He gave you a method for dealing with depression, which really does work. As I said, I haven't used it, but I've advised somebody to use it. And what you do is you write down all the shit things in your life, and then you will have a maximum of 7 or maybe 10 max, because they seem like massive problems. You write down, I ain't got no money, you know, no girlfriend. Yeah. You run out of those real quick. You turn over the sheet of paper and you write down all the good things in your life.
Legs, arms,
yeah. Oh,
so
when I say you will,
roof over my head, running water, heat,
you
food.
will quadruple the bad things easy, and then
your hand will cramp before you.
Yeah, and then you will look at this and you'll be like, oh, my life's not that bad, is it? And it really does help you put things into perspective. Because when you look at things from a depressive state, you think your whole life's shit when it really isn't. You're shit, but your life isn't. And on that note,
and it is.
and on that note, more content coming soon. Till next time.